Hey guys, what's happening? So, a couple of pointers. If you're looking to start up your own authority and you're going to be traveling across state lines, if you're operating over 26,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, aside from needing a commercial driver's license, you're going to need to get IRP tags, or apportioned, as they're also referred to. And so I've been seeing and reading a lot of people try to get started, and this kind of goes back to, why I don't own a bakery. I don't own a bakery because I don't know how to bake. Although I know some people that own a bakery and they seem to do very well. They have a nice home, put their kids through college, and so there's obviously money at it, right? I mean, you don't see bakery owners on YouTube showing off all the bling on their fingers and walking around with stacks of C notes, but they do well for themselves. I didn't go into the bakery business because I don't know how to bake. I went into the trucking business because I kind of know about trucks. And so a lot of people are jumping in, and there's a lot they learn the hard way. So people go out and set up they buy a truck, okay? And then they go out and get their insurance, and they try to apply for an authority. Then they're sitting there waiting for their authority, and then finally when the authority comes, then they try to go register their vehicle, and that creates another roadblock for them. You have to set up an IRP account, and so that kind of makes it difficult because there's criteria to setting up your IRP. You have to prove residency in the state that you're in. And if you're going to do a simple LLC, the problem is the LLC has to have bills in its name. So let's just say you start, Big Dog Trucking LLC. You go down to the IRP office and say, hey, I want to set up an account. Some states make it really, really difficult. So the first thing is they're going to want to see bills in the name of the registrant, is what they call it. When it's a corporation, they're going to want to see utility bills, rent bills, stuff like that. So if by chance you're trying to register your truck in a corporation's name, does your corporation have any way to prove it actually has all this documentation? In some cases, it's easier to open up the registrant account in an individual's name and then lease the truck to your corporation. And I know right now you're thinking, why would I do that? Because it can take months to get the bills that they want to see. By bills, I mean utility bills. They're going to want to see a vehicle titled in the company name in that state. They're going to want to see a mortgage agreement or a lease agreement for the office or shop or yard you're renting. They're going to want to see, they got a list of like 5 items, and they want to see 3 of them. And that can take a while to get that stuff together, because if you go open up, an electric bill, the next monthly cycle has to end for that to come through. And no, cell phone bills don't qualify for that. So establishing your IRP account even before you go to activate your authority, or even before you buy the truck, makes a lot of sense. Me personally, I'd say get yourself an IRP account in your personal name. It'll be easier to finance things in your personal name when you start off anyways, and then just lease it to your authority. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. The other thing is, if you get yourself an apportioned account, keep in mind when you go buy the truck, you don't pay sales tax. And so if you're gonna go buy a truck somewhere, be careful that they don't say, oh, we'll register it for you, because odds are they're gonna go get you regular tags that you're gonna pay for, and that's non-refundable. So whatever they charge in your state, $1,000, $2,000, that's money down the toilet when you go try to set up your IRP account. Secondly is the sales tax portion. Vehicles that are a portion tag, you don't pay sales tax on them. That's just the gist of it. You pay a title fee, and in most states it's 15, 20 bucks, 35 bucks I think in Texas. And so those are some of the money traps, if you're not careful, that you could end up paying for. Now, once you have now you can set up your registrant account before you even set up your authority. You can set up your authority to be, you can set up a US DOT number and set it up as exempt, and it goes active the minute you click send. And then once you're ready, you can add the for hire portion and send off your insurance and everything else, but hopefully by then you have everything else in place. And this primarily so that you don't end up in a window where you're waiting for all these different accounts to come into play and work. So that's the first thing. Don't register it as a commercial vehicle under regular state tags, state registrations, what I'm trying to say. And then think you can go change it to a portion, and that they're gonna apply a percentage of your regular tag over to a portion. Doesn't work that way. Those monies go into different hats, and none of them like giving it back. So really important when you buy a vehicle, don't pay the sales tax, because you're going to put it on an apportioned account. And then when you do have the vehicle, don't go try to register it. In Texas, they would call it combination plates. Basically, it's a combination vehicle, truck and trailer. Don't go paying for that, because you don't get that money back. Once you have your vehicle all registered and you got your IRP and your IFTA in place and your accounts are good and valid, another mistake some people make is they think that if you buy fuel in every state to accommodate the miles that you drive in that state, that saves you money. And so the reality behind that is, what you want to do is download the form you fill out to do your tax return for your IFTA filing quarterly. Download it. On it, it will show you what the tax is in every state. And so right now I just entered California, and I do not plan on fueling in California. Now some people are going to say, oh, Miguel, California is going to stick it to you. Yeah, California's tax is higher. It's about 50 cents higher than every other state per gallon. But here's the thing you guys have to realize. Their fuel price is not 50 cents higher than the state next to it. So I just fueled in Arizona for $3, and I topped off so I can go in and out without having to fuel in California. Now some of you are thinking, well, you're going to owe California money. Yes, I'm going to owe them 50 cents a gallon for each gallon I consume. That's the key. Each gallon I consume in California. If I drive into California and fuel in California, there's places where fuel is $5 a gallon. So that's a $2 difference in fuel price as compared to a 50-cent a gallon difference in tax. You see where I'm going with this? And so I still had about 3/4 of a tank left. I might have made it in and out. Well, let's just say I get to California and I pick up 100 gallons. So I pick up 100 gallons, that's $500 versus 100 gallons in Arizona is $300. Now, what I'm gonna owe California isn't all of their tax. I'm gonna owe them the difference between Arizona and California. So we're talking cents on the dollar, not a couple dollars. And so what makes the most sense here, guys, is get familiar with the states and their rate, and then look at your overall cost, and then look at your actual price per fuel. In other words, remove the tax, and what are you paying for the actual fuel? And then the tax is tax they're gonna get you anyway for driving and consuming fuel in their state. It doesn't matter where you purchase the fuel, that's just how much tax you paid as a base. Once you pay that at the pump, then if you paid less tax, the next expensive state is going to charge you the difference. If you paid more tax, then it comes back. So be aware of which tax or which state charges how much tax, and don't base your fueling on tax. Base your fueling on actual fuel price. The tax is going to be the same. By that I mean, if I fuel in New Mexico and someone else fuels in Arizona, and we make the same exact drive and we're consuming the same amount of fuel, overall we're going to pay the same tax. What's going to be different is how much the base fuel cost was. So once you learn how much each state's tax is, you subtract that from what you see as the advertised price, and that's your base fuel price. You want to go by the cheapest base fuel price. Anyway, I hope these little comments help, especially for you guys that are kind of new. You know, if you ever drove, if you're a driver that was a company driver and you drove for a bigger company, then you already know that a lot of these bigger companies, they actually trip plan you before you even leave. They tell you you're going to fuel here, you're going to fuel there, and you're going to fuel over here. They have someone planning that logic. They have someone making that number work, and it's one of our biggest costs across the board. I mean, fuel, insurance, and payroll. And how you manage them is key. You know, maintenance and other things, yes, they have a variance on there, they impact it, but those are your big ones. And as you learn to manipulate and control them, you'll start seeing, you know, per truck, per mile, a little more gets to stay in your pocket. And I always say it, it's not so important how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. The more money you keep, the one who keeps the most money wins. Anyway, enough about this. Just wanted to put a quick little, you know, fuel tax management, IFTA, IRP. You know, in theory, it's simple. In application, if you don't understand it, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be frustrating. Especially the part where you're trying to establish an IFTA account and you just purchased a truck and now you have a truck payment coming, but you can't get to work, and you know your account for your authority isn't active because you're going through that vetting period. So, you know, these are things that if you learn ways to get things to fall into place and just go smooth, you'll get to work sooner, you'll start making money sooner, and you know, hopefully you find that the route you took in terms of who you're going to work with was the smarter one and not the silly one. Anyways, as always, guys, thanks for watching.